Good morning. Alright, we're gonna finish reading a little bit today and read a couple more chapters. So yesterday we left off where Principal Banana had called Amy Ann into her office, and Amy Ann was worried that she was caught for the banned books library, but all that Principal Banana wanted Amy Ann to do was to take down the paper that said books banned at Shelburne Elementary School. So we're kind of at this point where Amy Ann is getting more and more attention towards her banned book library. So people are asking her about all these books and all this stuff. So we're going to find out what Amy Ann does to combat or come back with what Principal Banana told her to do. This chapter is called BBLL Inc. I took down the list of banned books by the end of the period. In its place, I hung up a construction paper sign I'd drawn that said, "Go Eagles, number 1. The Eagles were the Shelburne Elementary mascot. Principal Banana would be happy to see my sign. She likes school spirit. She would not be happy to see what was on the back of it. That's where I taped my old banned books list. If you flipped up the Go Eagles number 1 sign, the list was right there. After all, I still had to have some way to let people know what books I had. I wanted more books for the BBLL, though. I wanted all the books Mrs. Spencer had banned. I wanted a giant tower of books that filled my locker, and I wanted everyone to read them. Rebecca said that to do all that, we needed to incorporate. I hereby call to order the first meeting of the BBLL Board of Trustees, she announced officially, even though it was just me and Danny sitting with her at one end of a table in the cafeteria. She had an extra long pad to take notes on, which she used only because it was called a legal pad. Present are Rebecca Zimmerman, Esquire, Danny Purcell, and Amy Ann Ollinger. I liked how I came last, even though I was the one who started the BBLL. Do we really need to do this? I asked. We do if this corporation wants to grow, Rebecca said. First, we need to elect officers. I nominate myself as Chief Financial Officer and Legal Counsel. Danny and I stared at her. Danny shrugged. Okay. You're supposed to say second if you agree, Rebecca said. Second, Danny and I said. Rebecca huffed. You're not both supposed to say it, just one of you. Then I say, all in favor? Danny and I looked at each other. Me? Danny said. You're supposed to say I, Rebecca said. I like I? Danny said, pointing to where his eyes would have been if hair wasn't covering them. I like AYE, Rebecca said. It means yes. And why don't we just say yes? I asked. Rebecca looked like she was going to explode, so Danny jumped in. I then, I, he said quickly. Rebecca looked at me. What? I asked. Well, aren't you going to vote? I thought only one of us was supposed to say it. That's when you second something, Rebecca said. When I say all in favor, everyone votes aye or nay. Could we just skip all that? I asked. You're the one in charge of money. Rebecca sagged and I felt bad. She just wanted to play at being a lawyer. I knew, but if she kept this up, we'd be here for the rest of lunch period and never get anything done. Danny flicked his hair into place. So what do I get to be? You're in charge of alternative acquisitions, Rebecca said. That means getting the books that we can't afford to buy. Sweet, Danny said. I've got some ideas about that. So far, I've only been asking 4th graders and their brothers and sisters. But I know some kids in 3rd grade and in 5th grade. If I put the word out, I'll bet I can dig up a lot more books. Just don't put the word out too much, I said. I'd already told them both about my meeting with Principal Banana. The only reason I was still living and breathing was because she hadn't found out about the banned books locker library. You want people to check out the books, don't you? Danny asked. Of course. Just don't go hanging signs for the BBLL in the hallway. Rebecca finished writing Danny's title down. Alright, that leaves Amy Ann. What's she? Danny asked. President and Chief Librarian, Rebecca said. President and Chief Librarian? I liked that. Even though we'd been calling the locker library a library, I hadn't thought of myself as being a librarian. except for what I'd seen Mrs. Jones do, and I said so. Well, you're going to have to learn, Rebecca said, and the first thing you're going to have to figure out is how to keep track of how long people have the books. Danny ran his fingers through his hair. Yeah, I've been waiting forever to read that Shel Silverstein book, but TJ still has it. I don't want to have due dates and library fines and all that, I said. Well, you need to consider it, at least due dates, or some of the books are never going to come back again. Rebecca and Danny went on talking about more bake sales and which books he thought he might be able to get, but I was still thinking about a better way to keep track of who had what book and how long they'd had it. The clipboard with the list in my locker was getting to be lots of pages long, and every time I got a book back in, I had to skim through all the names and holds to find out who wanted the book next. The BBLL was getting too big for its britches, as my grandmother liked to say. I was going to have to figure out a better system, and there was only one person I knew to ask. Tools of the trade. I stopped at the library's front desk before heading for my spot in the corner after school. I watched as the second grader checked out a small stack of books. Mrs. Jones scanned the little barcodes on the back with her laser thing, and the computer recorded what book it was the kid was checking out, and when it was due back. That was no help. I didn't have a computer, or a scanner, or whatever program she had that kept track of it all. Mrs. Jones noticed me watching. Thinking of becoming a librarian, Amy Ann? She asked. I jumped. People were always reading my mind. What? Oh, no. I was just interested in how it all worked. You know, the way you keep track of what books get checked out. Mrs. Jones ran the boys' book across the bonky thing that made them safe to take through the detectors at the front door without setting off the alarm. It's all automated now, Mrs. Jones said. Certainly a lot less trouble than it used to be. What did it used to be like? I asked her. Let's see, Mrs. Jones said. She looked over at the paperback spinner racks. Bring me that copy of The Witch of Blackbird Pond. It was an old beat-up copy of the book with clear cellophane tape holding the covers on. Mrs. Jones flipped to the back of the book. Ah, I thought this one might still have it in there. We've gone all digital now, of course, but I never got around to taking these out of the older books. She turned the book around for me to see. There, in the back cover, was a little manila envelope with a card sticking out of it. Mrs. Jones pulled out the card. It's a date due card, she explained. Used to be, we would have to take the card out of every book, stamp it with the due date, and then the person checking the book out would sign the card. Of course, I had seen these in the back of some of the books I checked out, but never paid much attention to them. The card had the book's name and the author at the top. Underneath that were two columns, one for the date and another for the borrower's name. The dates in the books were all from the 1980s. The names on this date due card had to be adults by now. They took the books and we kept the card, Mrs. Jones said. We put the cards in order by the date, and then every day we would check to see what books had come due. How did the person checking the books out know when they were due? I asked her. Oh, we put a little slip of paper in each little pocket in the back, with the due date stamped on it. The whole thing was an absolute headache for a large library. I was excited. My library was tiny. This was exactly what I needed. Do you have a different stamp for every day? Oh, heavens, no. There is a neat little gizmo that could stamp any date. I wonder if I still have one. Mrs. Jones disappeared into the back office. I could see her rummaging around in a drawer through the windows. Envelopes. I could use a bunch of envelopes and tape them into the backs of the BBLL books. Then I could stick index cards down inside little pockets, with places for people to sign their names. When the books were due, I could even slip a reminder notice into the borrower's locker mailbox. Aha! Found one, Mrs. Jones said. Just goes to show you we never throw anything away around here. She came back with a complicated little hand stamp that was stained red from years of use. It had a black knob on the top where you held it, and on the bottom were 4 rotating rubber pieces, 1 for the month, 2 for the numbers and the date, and 1 for the year. It was set for May 27th, 1988. Mrs. Jones laughed. I suppose that was the last day we ever used it. I clicked the month forward and back. What an awesome gadget. I tried stamping it on my arm, but it was dry, of course. It only left a faint imprint of the date on my skin. Where can I get one of these? I asked. Mrs. Jones looked surprised. Oh, Well, I suppose they still sell them somewhere. Office supply stores, maybe? Though I don't know how much call there is for them today. You can have that one if you want it. The little hairs on my arms tingled. Really? Well, I certainly don't need it anymore, Mrs. Jones said, and it is a little out of date. It only has the years 1980 to 1990 on it. I didn't care. The date due stamp was too amazing. I would make it work somehow. Thanks, I said, and I ran off to my corner. All I needed now was a pair of glasses on a chain, and I was ready for my official librarian membership card.
Hey guys, thanks for checking in and watching and listening to the book as we go on. Make sure that you're washing your hands and staying safe and staying clean during this time, and we'll see you when we see you. Bye.